Welcome to the Union Labor Advisory Network podcast, where our mission is to support, educate, and promote informative content relative to the union labor community. For more information, a calendar of events, and union news and updates, you can visit our website, ulanetwork.com, and follow us on all social media platforms by searching ULA Network and/or the Union Labor Advisory Network. And now, on to the show.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Union Labor Advisory Network. I'm Mike Fina. Today, I'm extremely happy to deal with somebody or meet somebody on the West Coast, Tara Garner from Under Construction Photography. Thank you, Tara, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
So I met Tara online looking at some incredible photos that were on Instagram and just kept liking everything. And eventually got the nerve to just message her and say, I love your work. We'd love to connect and learn a little bit more about you. And here we are. It's been a couple months, but finally got Tara on the ULA Network. And again, I just want to welcome you and learn a little bit more about, Tara, what you do, your services, and how you got into your career in the construction field.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm just a construction photographer. I come from a generational background of ironworkers in my family, 5 generations to be exact. Both my brothers are ironworkers. My dad was the business manager of the local union. Uncle was a BA for a long time. So yeah, I just, there was, I used to work for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, actually prior to starting my construction photography gig. I worked for IBEW for 10 and a half years, actually. So also having family involvement in the trades, I've worked for, a major local union here in Los Angeles. So it was like, no matter where I went, there it was. I was like living, breathing, eating blue collar lifestyle, and when my dad got into politics too, that just like catapulted us even more, into the industry and the lifestyle and the culture of the people and the political side of things, So yeah, it was really, really interesting, like growing up as a kid, and seeing, just all the aspects of it, of being in the local union or working for them and or seeing like my father and my brothers and my uncles and my cousins all thrive, watch their families grow and this be the trade that they chose, ironworking. And yeah, they've all been so successful too, which is great, like to see each one of my family members, my dad was a business manager, my uncle was a business agent. Prior to them getting involved in politics, they ran work, and then now my brothers are both general foreman. I have a cousin that's a superintendent, so they've all done like very well, I should say, in the path that they chose for their career. Back in 2011, there was a bad recession we had here in Los Angeles. I think it was like everywhere though, for work, it just slowed down righteously. And I had been laid off of my job, rank and file. There was 12 of us that were laid off. There were like 2 district offices that were closed. Literally days after being laid off my job, my father passed away unexpectedly. And so it just really, my whole life just changed, like, with the flip switch, it felt like, I went from living on my own, having my own place, everything was great, to, not so great, moving back home with my mom to help out and her help me out, like we just both were helping each other, Yeah, it was, just a series of just weird events. I took a year off of work and I totally like got involved with my kid and coaching soccer and really being like that present parent that we all want to be, but we all got to work too, right? And provide. So I took a year off and that was really nice to do that, and then I went back to work after about a year, back with IBEW again, and I was working out in Hollywood. And around 2012, 13, work started to boom again. All of a sudden I'm seeing these holes being dug, these tower cranes being erected, this iron being hung, and I'm in an office building that's 24 stories high in the middle of Hollywood, right on Sunset and Vine. So I've got like this really cool view, like a bird's eye view of all this work starting to pop up, and I would just sit in the boardroom and watch, or I'd go down on my breaks and I would watch the work being done. And I was fascinated by it. I was literally just drawn into watching these workers do this gnarly work that my family has done for generations, but I could honestly say I had never been a spectator to seeing the work being performed. Like I was the office chick. I was the dues lady. I was helping them on the phone or at the window. I didn't see them, hanging out. I just didn't see that side of it, No. It was very much just almost like my dad, like purposely kind of kept me in this little bubble of like, you're not going to be around these people. But I wanted to be, I wanted to know who these people were, and I wanted to meet them and talk to them and hear their stories and connect, and it was through these, in that high rise, watching these guys put a tower crane up. And that was really like what started it from there, was this tower crane being erected right next to my building, and watching these guys. I'd never seen a tower crane being erected, and tower crane work is crazy. Like, I don't know, that takes a special kind of breed in its own, in iron working, in crane work or whatever. Like, tower crane work is, I don't know, it's just, that's a different beast. You got to be on your game and not be afraid. I'm scared watching them, Yeah.
And then is that where, so when you start seeing these towers go up, do you say, you know what, I'm going to take a couple photos of this, so I want to see what's going on? Kind
of, yeah. And I just had my cell phone at that moment. I wasn't like this photographer into photography. I've got a camera with me at all times. That was not my gig at all. I was this office chick, just coming out on a break and being wowed by the work that was being done, and relating to it because of my family background. And I'm like, oh, that looks like my brother or my cousin, or, I think I know that dude over there actually, as I would take photos with my cell phone and post them on Instagram. And it was kind of like Instagram and a little bit of Facebook. I started to get like these likes of like, oh, wow, and I'm like, oh, I could take a cool photo of what they're doing.
Right.
That's that. I mean, it just, it just started to kind of click, and it was the conversation I had on that tower crane guys. They just were like, I hadn't seen them since my dad's funeral, and the conversations we had were just really nice. It was great to talk about him, and them talk about him. It wasn't like I was talking, it was them telling me. And so I just really like loved that. I felt really special. I felt like, I don't know, I just needed to hear these stories. It was very therapeutic for me at the same time. And then like the next job I go to, there's this old timer out there. He just had like the coolest stories. He had the coolest attitude, like just that old school culture that I could really connect with. And he was like a dad figure, those two jobs right there. There was the tower crane, and then there was an iron job like a block away where they were hanging iron. And I walked over to that next one after the tower crane, and it was just kind of the same thing in a way, but this was a much bigger job. So I actually, a tower crane, it's just this big hole and a crane, you don't have all this other work going on around. So there isn't all this distractions, but the job down the street, they were already hanging iron. So it was so much different, job site at that point that I was still wowed with again. Like I was like, oh my God, I went from this huge tower crane to these guys full on hanging iron. Like it was like 4 or 5 stories. But again, never being on a job site, never stepping foot on a metal decking, you know, or having the proper gear to even do that. Like that was, I was so inexperienced, but so wanting to be there. I was so like, just drawn into it, you know. I don't know. It was just the people out there, and I cased that job. It took a while before I actually like stepped foot on site. But once that old timer knew who I was, who my father was, he was like, they were just like open arms, you know, like, come on site. We've got a hard hat for you. You know, next time you come, wear closed-toed shoes, you know. And I was like, okay, you know, I'm.
Yep.
You know, getting a feel for what I'll need to come back, you know, because I want to come back. And it just, every break I had, every lunch break, I mean, I was running down there. You know, I have 15 minutes. I'm taking that whole 15. And it was really cool, though, because it was just, it allowed me to bond with these guys at the same time. And I'm starting to take their photos a lot more. You know, it wasn't just me hustling onto a job site and walking around and bullshitting with the guys. You know, I was taking their pictures with my cell phone. But it was that second job that I was like, I need a camera, you know, like I need to stop screwing around with the cell phone stuff, and I need to get a camera, and I can take some cool photos here. Who's doing this? Nobody's doing this. Why am I doing this? You know, and it was kind of mind-boggling to me at the same time that nobody was doing that. Like, I never had seen a photographer on a job site or even heard of one. You know, it wasn't a thing at all. And I just thought, you know, I'm going to try something new and different, you know, and I really love being here. The guys love me being here. They love telling me stories about my dad or my brothers or my uncle or my cousins, you know, that I get to hear like a different side of these guys that I don't get to see so much. I see the home body person of them, you know, or the family person of them. I don't see the blue collar working guy, you know, out in the field.
Like I said, the camaraderie amongst all the men and women in the field now as well is just great to see, because you have to work as a team, especially to, you know, erect some buildings like this. And I know just safety aspect of the job as well, because these are dangerous jobs, and just making sure that they're doing all the right things and the right training, and, you know, just again, seeing, you know, the inspiration, you know, taking these particular photos, seeing these men and women building things that, you know, or erecting these cranes, you know, and that are so massive, and building, you know, I guess Hollywood skyline is just, you know, like you said, incredible. And then that obviously just promoting that work and opportunities within those trades has just been, again, you've inspired me, because I see the photos, and it, you know, I'm not always on job sites, work a lot of different trades as well as public sector unions, but getting, you know, your vantage point, or the vantage point of some of these members on the, you know, way up in the air, you know, building America is really, again, I use inspiring a lot of times, but it is inspiring to see. And these are special trades, you know, great opportunities, like you mentioned before. So for me, it's like, you know, I work in the trades, I support these organizations, and my job's to help promote them in the best possible way. And, you know, and meeting people like yourself, it just gets me excited, or, you know, I just get all, you know, geared up. I want to figure out how to help, or just, you know, promote the cause and these particular opportunities. And again, you've been inspiring to me in doing that. So I want to thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah. And, you know, the workers that inspire me, you know, it's watching them do the work that they do that gets me all fired up. And I'm like, this is so cool. And it's funny because, like, my daughter will totally make fun of me if we're driving somewhere and I see cranes or some construction. I get all excited, and I'm like, I wonder what they're building over there. Oh my God, did you see that crane? And she's like, oh my God, Mom, like, this isn't cool. And I'm like, it's so cool.
It's incredible.
Am I the only one? I can't be the only one.
Not at all. You got somebody on the East Coast that found you from the West Coast to talk about the same type of stories of what you're doing, which is really great. And, you know, and I know we spoke a little bit earlier. So you just don't work West Coast. You know, there's opportunities in your business and profession to go across the country now. You know, if you want to share or elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll go where the work is, basically. There's no boundaries in my field whatsoever. I mean, I live in Southern California, so I can say that I probably covered a huge chunk of the build of California, from stadiums to infrastructure to just so many really iconic and cool things that are going to be around for so long. But yeah, so last summer I was in New York. I did a summer camp for Tools and Tiaras.
Yep.
And that was a really, really cool experience. It's teaching young girls the trades, at a elementary to, I mean, there were so many variety of ages there, but yeah, it was just, teaching them the trades from every aspect, from electrical to plumbing to architectural and structural. I mean, yeah, there were so many things that they were teaching these girls, and then we went out onto 2 job sites as well while we were there, so they got to see, firsthand what it's really like to be out on a job site. Because I think that really is a game changer. I think that we need to have more like kid tours. I mean, I hate to say that. I know there's so many liability and safety issues, but being on a job site, like, to really see it firsthand, watching the workers work together, see the build, that's inspiring. It was, I don't know, I just think it's cool. I think more people should be exposed to job sites.
I agree with you. And again, that's some of the video coverage that you provide, or you're producing for these union groups, is providing that vantage point, or giving people an inside look of what's actually going on, and the work that's involved. And it's not easy work. It's difficult,
Right.
Work that's being produced, and you want skilled labor to be able to facilitate that. Learning that and just understanding what goes in, what's involved, and you're helping share that to the world, essentially, is just really incredible. So,
it's like I want to see it from my view. I want to be, because I feel like the way I see it is I'm so wowed by it, all the time. I just hope that that's the view of the viewers as well, that at least what I'm trying to accomplish is that you get to see it from my perspective, that, that I'm in there with them, I'm right next to them as they're doing their task. And there's hard times, there's great times. And to see all aspects of that, the humanity within the trades is really important, because and it just connects all of us. We're all the same. You put your pants on just like I do. And, I think the more that we can expose kind of that side of it as well, the more welcoming and inclusive it will be.
100%. 100%. And Tyler, that's why I mentioned that, I get to go through a lot of apprenticeship facilities or training facilities, and seeing, the men and women learning these particular skilled trades. Me going through high school, I didn't go through, there was no trade school within my, my Catholic, high school growing up. So I never got exposed to any of this. I just got to say, I want to be a stockbroker, or I want to be in the finance world, because that's where the money is.
Right.
Realizing that you look at all these different contracting companies and construction companies, this is real money, and big money opportunities. If you're learning a skilled trade and you have that, and you'll have that forever. So that's what inspires me when I watch and see people building things. I'm like, this is awesome. So
yeah,
you're promoting the trades in the best possible way, and I'm proud to support you and promote you in any way I can. And you mentioned about Tools and Tiaras, because East Coast. So the Judaline Cassidy, I think it's Judaline, if I'm saying her name properly.
Yeah.
We have connected back in the day, because she's the plumbers, so
right,
New York plumber, and
right,
and done some phenomenal work. Know some other people have interviewed her as well, and again, it's just sharing this message of what the skilled trade and the opportunities are about, in the union career as well, is what we're here to promote. Again, I just can't thank you enough for everything that you do, and excited to get a chance to meet you, here on this platform. Hopefully I'll get some B-roll coverage so we could mix in and promote that out a little bit more as well. But thanks for all that you do. And, if there's anything I can do to help you out or promote, your cause, I'm happy to do so. So thank you.
Oh, that's really nice of you, and I really appreciate that a lot. Thank you as well, because it takes a village, and teamwork makes the dream work, and I'm all about that.
That's exactly right. I mean, again, we're just trying to collaborate with people of like minds to be able
Right,
to support that same cause. And your vision is my vision in regards to promoting these trades in the best possible way, because they do inspire you, and it inspires me. And if we can create another career or a union paid job in this particular locals, and somebody saw this or saw a video and says, "This is a job that I want to be in," how do I get involved in this? These are the
right,
things that we're just here to do. So.
yeah.
Again, thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon or collaborating on future things in the future. So thanks again, Tara. Appreciate it.
Rock on. Thank you.
You got it. Hold on.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Union Labor Advisory Network. To stay in the loop, we ask that you please visit our website, ulanetwork.com, and sign up for our newsletter, where we're sending updates relative to the union labor community directly to your inbox. Thank you for supporting labor, and we'll see you next time.